Tokenmetrics is a cryptocurrency investment platform that helps users leverage machine learning to become better crypto investors. Our in-depth analysis helps eliminate the emotions of investing, find profitable investment opportunities, and filters out scams. Learn more at tokenmetrics.com.
We are live. This is the market update. Which market update? The one you can trust on YouTube. I'm your host, Bill Noble. This show is brought to you by tokenmetrics.com, the preeminent research house in crypto. If you need a roadmap in crypto, right, and you've been listening to the wrong people in crypto, subscribe to our channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live. And if the content works for you, please drop a like. We are trying to break a record of 2,000 likes on a video. All right, let's welcome everybody. Ali, as usual, from London. First on the stream, Stephen Mind on crypto. Tyson wants some cheap Cardano. Ross Cornwall, Solely Soul. Somebody's asking when dump. We'll talk about that. Kentucky is here. Calgary, welcome. Right? We have Hamid giving me some notorious love. Thank you. Iowa in the house. Tina from the University of Texas. East Tennessee. New Brunswick, Canada. North Carolina. Right? We have Australia up probably late at night along with Poland. All right? We have Colorado, Boston. Right? Leeds, England. Welcome to our friends along with Fontana, California. Let me write down. Somebody's looking for Yearn Finance analysis. Let me get that down. Take a few requests at the end of the show. Take a chill Friday approach to this, right? We have Florida, Belgium, right? Hot in the city in Chicago. Ithaca, New York, right? Floating on the Guadalupe River. Love it, right? All right. Get to the chopper. All right. We have, looks like GB, maybe Green Bay. Somebody wants to check out MATIC. We can do that. And beautiful downtown Burbank, along with Atlanta and up late at night in India. All right. Let's jump into the news. Okay. Now, just as a reminder, today is options expiration in crypto, okay? Now, what does that mean? That means that options expiration results in a lot of buying and selling that may or may not make sense chart-wise or fundamentally, right? So if you're waking up today, you're like, what is going on? It could be just options expiration. So I realize there's a case for a crypto bottom and a bigger bear market rally. We'll go through that. But just remember, options expiration can create weird price action. Now, what really seems weird to me is that I said in crypto, there's no such thing as the Fed. Well, apparently there is. It's called FTX, right? FTX is out there giving lenders up to $250 million in credit, okay? And Crypto Billionaire has become the lender of last resort to the entire industry, right? And yesterday, all right, we saw some work talking about how FTX is over-the-counter trading desk, maybe trying to work with Celsius by absorbing some of their risk, right, in an attempt to support the system. Now, obviously, right, the fact that FTX is willing to step in like this is a good thing for the space, right? He's trying to help the space. That said, back in 2008, right, JP Morgan rescued Bear Stearns, I believe, right? Certain firms, Bank of America absorbed Merrill Lynch, et cetera, et cetera. These things did not solve the problem of the underlying rot in like the mortgage-backed security market. In this case, it's problems with DeFi and collateral, not DeFi. I should say collateral inside the crypto lending system, right? That's like staking and essentially a lot of gambling with positions and staking. Let's just call it that. So in 2008, there were multiple everything is all right trades. Now, one thing I want to note about FTX, that this has been on my mind for 3 days. Now, let's say you're running FTX's trading desk, right? You're like the chief trader, or you're working directly with the big boss, and you just loaned a bunch of money to insolvent people trying to save the system, and you just took down a bunch of risk, right? In other words, you took risk from Celsius onto your own books, right? Now, after you do all that, what's the first thing I do as a head trader? Well, you know what I would do? I would just start buying everything, trying to create a huge pump, right? In other words, you're like, why is Bitcoin down and ETH up today? And I was like, I know why. Because the guys who did all of this crypto Fed action, where they're trying to take people's ETH risk and they're loaning money, what do they need? They need hope. They need optimism. They need ETH at 1,500, right? So they can, get out of their positions, or however you want to call it. So if you have a bunch of risk on your book, you want the market to go up. And what's the best way to get the market to go up? Well, I don't know. Just go in and take whatever capital you got and start buying everything and try to squeeze the shorts. So I've suspected that FTX was acting like the crypto Fed. Now you know it's official. And if the market's going up, well, it's just like the regular Fed, because they're just pumping it, right? They don't want the market to go down. They just absorbed, I don't know, half the risk in the crypto ecosystem. They want it to go up. So they're going to try to ram it higher. Now, on a lighter note, okay, MATIC has got some bullish news out because, they're going to carbon neutrality, right? Which is, that's a good thing. So that's, helping enhance MATIC's reputation. And I understand this is big news. Coinbase rolls out Polygon support for transfers of ETH and USDC. So MATIC is fulfilling its mission as, a mechanism to relieve gas prices in ETH. Now, continuing on this theme that we have been using, right, that I think is actually pretty bullish, is this combination of NFTs and the real world known as phygital. So NFTs and the real world together, phygital. Meaning you'll get an NFT and you'll get a physical good, or you'll get a physical good and get an NFT. Okay? So Bentley has got a non-fungible token, or NFT collection. And we are seeing this all week long, right? As the crypto ecosystem gets hurt, okay, as NFTs effectively go to zero, people are pouring in to try to get involved in NFTs. So the idea that NFTs are dead, I think, is incorrect. Matter of fact, I think NFTs as art, collectibles, in other words, not the insane FOMO we had before, but I think there's going to start being, right? In other words, little guy innovates and big guy wins. So if you understand or study the economics of technology, that's kind of the way it is, right? Steve Jobs built a computer, Microsoft kind of took it over, right? And got to experience the huge run-up. The little guy innovated, and the big guy won. So in NFTs, the little guys played around with JPEGs and got smoked, but the big guys are starting to come in. So there's value investing to be done in the NFT space. No better place to learn about that than tokenmetrics.com and our NFT newsletter subscription, right? And a related show. Now, speaking of NFTs, some really interesting information here, right? Snoop Dogg and I believe Eminem have done a video together featuring Bored Ape. Okay, so 1 minute I'm reading an article and watching videos about how, Bored Ape contains a huge amount of, I don't know, I guess you could call it racist FUD. And the next minute, two prominent rappers have got Bored Ape in a video. Which is it? I don't know, but clearly the celebrity world still thinks Bored Ape is cool. I don't know if high-priced NFTs like this are the future, but clearly there's positive news flow in the NFT space. Okay, back to things that aren't so good. And ironically, this would be like, I think, a major headline if it wasn't for, the FTX loans and all the other things going on, right? Harmony has identified theft of $100 million. Well, I guess given the blow up in crypto these days, $100 million hack doesn't really rate. It's kind of funny. Okay. Now, again, the market is getting sort of bored with this, right? CoinFlex, due to extreme market conditions, today we are announcing that we're pausing withdrawals. So, of course, everything is all right. FTX has saved the day. ETH is up 6%. There could be a huge bear market rally. I get it. But the problem has not gone away. It has not. Okay. So there's also a rug pull going on in crypto of 97 ETH. So men are still behaving badly. Now, this may not be the most earth-shattering news in crypto, but this stuff is going to get the attention of regulators, right? It's these rug pulls in the DeFi universe that, I don't know, they scare me more than insolvent CeFi lenders going out of business because, regulators don't need to regulate insolvent entities. Okay, I put this out on my Twitter. I'm not showing it from my Twitter here, but this is about bear market rallies. It is at the top tweet, crypto_noble. Basically, this is a summary of a stock market guy who put together all kinds of stuff about bear market rally. So, there were double-digit percentage rallies in 2008, right? So he's listing all the bear market rallies there. 24%, 19%. .com bear market rallies were huge, 21, 19, etc. So that's in the stock market. Okay, the stock market has been having quite the party lately. We'll go into that in a minute. Now, again, you have to ask yourself, is the bear market rally going to be from 1,100 to 1,500 in ETH? Or was the bear market rally from 900 to 1,200? Okay, we're going to weigh in on that. We're going to weigh in on a strategy that's going to help you out until July 4th. Now, again, just in case you think everything is perfectly okay, this is Ecuador, right? The economy in Ecuador has collapsed. Okay, and this is people, basically rioting over the cost of living. Okay. So there's a lot of pain out there, and there's going to be a lot more pain, right? Because the Fed is going to have to continue doing what it has to do to basically shut down inflation. All right. So let's go from here back into the PowerPoint, right, and get into your market update. Okay, again, it's the crypto Fed. What is the impact of FTX taking down everybody's risk, right? Give me all the bad positions and loaning out money to other people to try to save the system. How has that changed the charts? And how do I have to adapt? And how do I help you adapt? So just as a reminder, Token Metrics has got a new channel for shorts called Token Metrics Clips. I am going to be expanding this, and it is going to be robust and entertaining. Now, just a few more news items. Jerome Powell said the Fed plans to make a recommendation to Congress on central bank digital currencies. Okay. Yesterday, we talked about a famous soccer player tuning up with Binance. Singapore says they will be brutal and unrelentingly hard on bad behavior in the crypto industry. Okay. And then, we have regulators at it pretty much everywhere, but that's really not the problem, right? Like the rug pulls and the hacks, I think that's what gets regulators going. But regulators may not have to regulate a system that's not solvent. Now, let's talk about Bitcoin. I have 21,800 as an important level. If Bitcoin is above 21,800, there are a lot of DeMark bottoming signals on weekly charts that could propel Bitcoin higher. Okay, now I'm already hearing talk. First it was 1914, 10, 9, 7, 0 for downside targets. I was kind of in the 16, 10, 7 crowd. Now all the talk is, all right, is it 26, 30, or 40 if there's a bear market rally? So first everybody was racing each other on downside targets. Now it feels like everybody's racing each other on upside targets. And I suspect both are wrong. Meaning, the market may just sit here for a couple days, right? It may. Now, obviously, FTX has every reason to ram the market higher. So if the market's going up, it's because FTX is ramming it higher. And they're pushing out retail shorts that came in looking for the market to break. So if you got short and you got stopped out, well, don't worry about it. You live to fight another day. Now, if you're long and you haven't adjusted your position, if this thing continues to go up, you have a golden opportunity between now and July 4th to exit. Because, if Bitcoin takes out 22, it could go to 26 and a half. I'll believe that when I see it. Now, let's talk about Bitcoin. Let's talk about DeMark work and DeMark signals in general. So on the 4-hour chart of Bitcoin, there's a DeMark 13 top. Will that actually produce a top? Will Bitcoin go down after that signal? So on the way down, there were a lot of bottoming signals and Bitcoin was just like, I'm going lower. So will this result in a top, or will this stop Bitcoin and have it trade in a range? I don't know. We have to wait and see. I know that's shocking on this show because it's been a very high conviction presentation, but we've got to wait and see to see if Bitcoin actually tops, right? Right now, they've got everybody in, oh my God, it's going up mode. We'll see. Now we have ETH. So I'm sitting on FTX's trading desk and I'm like, wow, look at this. We have what might be a head and shoulders bottom on the ETH 8-hour chart. And we all know, because Bill Noble said he had a Gann point at 1160, right? And as it turns out, the neckline of the head and shoulders bottom was at 1150. So if it's above 1150, right? And trust me, this will be front page news on every crypto news site Monday. But theoretically, if it's above 1150, it could be a head and shoulders bottom. And the guys at FTX may be able to just ram the market higher. Theoretically, 1500 is possible. Now, a brief word about bear markets. Sometimes when you expect a bear market rally, you don't get it. Okay? And you got to be careful if the thing turns around and knifes back down below 1150. Okay? So it's just something to be mindful of. It's just something to be mindful of if you're thinking about FOMOing in. So if you want to do a bullish trade, okay, you can do a bullish trade, but I would be mindful of the stop. And if you wake up tomorrow and it's up 15%, I don't recommend chasing it. If anything, there's an opportunity here between now and July 4th to potentially get out of positions. Because one thing I do know about bear markets, you can get massive rallies. I mean, that historical research is correct. I didn't think you were going to get the massive rally from here, but it's not about what I think. It's about what the market thinks. So you got to, in your head, you got to want what the market wants. So if the market wants to go up, okay. Now, if you want to do a long trade, okay, right? But the primary thing I think people should think about is if you've got positions and you've been holding them, right? If there is a 20% rally in this market between now and July 4th, in my opinion, that is the golden opportunity to GTFO. Now, let's go to the ETH 4-hour chart. So there's a lot of resistance around 12,500, 12,300. There's also a DeMark 9 top. So again, will ETH just do a counter trend bounce and keep going like the head and shoulders bottom? Or will that 9 top produce some kind of rollover? We don't know yet, right? This is like an IDK, I don't know phase for the bear market. And that is typical, right? Where everyone just kind of like freezes in their tracks because you got a lot going on, right? You got options expiration that results in buying and selling. That's, really not obvious to us all and may have nothing to do with market direction. You have FTX trying to pay the crypto Fed, trying to play crypto Fed, right? So they are going to try to ram the market higher. Is that going to work? Yeah, maybe for like a week. But what's going to happen when they start taking heat on positions, right? What happens when this narrative that the equity market, like if the equity market runs out of Kool-Aid, we'll talk about that later. So I'm not hating on the market, right? And I'm not trying to fade what could be a bear market rally. It sounds like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but I'm not. I'm just respecting what the market could do on the upside. And I also remember that frequently in bear markets, when things look wonderful, that's when you sell. That's when you sell. So if you see a breakdown from here, okay, be advised. If you get a huge rally, excellent. A perfect time to exit in front of July 4th. Now, Solana, okay, Solana produced fundamentally positive news flow with this mobile phone. And I'm not going to lie, I misjudged this. So I kind of viewed this as like a centralized and unnecessary layer one, and they turned it around. So there's huge resistance at 42. There's a DeMark 9 top. Will Solana keep going? I don't know, right? I mean, Solana was at 24. Now it's at 42, right? That's a pretty big bear market rally in my mind, right? So, I'm not sure I'd be in a big hurry to get long Solana, right? I mean, I know ETH could go a lot higher, but still, I mean, I know there's positive news flow. I don't want to hate on it, but think about it. If this market turns around and starts to go down in a week, who's going to buy this after everybody's been FOMOing in for 2 weeks, right? Okay, Avalanche, same type of thing, right? It goes to 13 and then it rips to 21. That's a pretty big rally in percentage terms. There's resistance between 21 and 2140, okay? And there's a 13 and a 9 top. Will the 13 and 9 top on the 4-hour charts? So if you're watching this on Saturday and you look at your screen and go, hey, wow, this didn't go down. There was a sell signal and it did not go down. That will tell you if this bear market rally has legs. Again, if I was running the FTX trading desk and I was watching the market update or looking at these type of charts, and as soon as this thing did not go down, I would try to ram it higher because they have to sell and get out of risk and they have to do their thing because they have taken down all the toxic sludge in the system. Seriously, just like the Fed would, except the Fed can just park it on its balance sheet and doesn't care if it goes to zero. Whereas FTX, they care. So if the market tops, if FTX can't pump it, then there's a problem. But if it just sits there or it goes up, then we're in for, 3-day relief rally. All right, now let's talk about Stonks and let's talk about the incredible spiked Kool-Aid that these guys are drinking. All right. So this is S&P SPX on a weekly chart. And what you can see is at the start of last week, there was a huge gap down, right? So the market gapped lower on a Monday, and opened way below the previous Friday close, only to have this week to have stocks turn around, gap up, and smoke right back to do what? Fill the gap. Because in technical analysis, gaps get filled. I mean, it's as simple as that. So these guys gap down, right? And then they went to fill the gap. Now, if you zoom out, here's the big picture in stocks, right? Now, you can see stocks are off their all-time high. This is S&P. Some stock markets, some components of the stock markets have been destroyed, right? Like ARK, ARKK, right? That's the altcoins of the stock market. But this is not really down that much. It isn't, right? I mean, this only shows the post-pandemic money printing, right? This only shows the rally from like 1,600 to 4,000. This doesn't say anything about how far the stock market has gone since Trump got elected in 2016. This is just a part of it. So, that's a nice way of saying the stock market has not gone down. It just hasn't, right? Now, currently, the stock market is drinking some Kool-Aid, saying that because economic growth is, at least some measures are moderating and consumer sentiment is in the toilet, that the Fed's going to stop tightening in September. We're back on this whole thing about the Fed not tightening anymore. Okay. In other words, people are not only thinking the Fed has to stop tightening, but people are starting to price in components of the bond market that the Fed is going to be cutting rates, next year and the year after. Now, here's my view. Inflation is at 8.5%. Right now, interest rates are assumed to be headed for 3.5. That is 5 points between inflation and short-term interest rates, roughly. So let me get this straight. The stock market goes down a little, okay? Some economic data gets a little weak. So we're going to rally stocks in Jerome Powell's face because Jerome Powell has said, quote, we want to manage demand. What does that mean? Well, that means he's got to take money away from rich people. When steak goes from $10 a pound to $18 a pound, when gas goes to $5 or $6, who's paying $5 or $6? People with money. How do you stop demand? How do you make people with money stop shopping, stop traveling, stop renting vacation homes? Unfortunately, it's very simple. You waste equities. You just destroy it, right? Like currently S&P is approaching 4,000 and I have a Fibonacci circle point at 2,600. So the Kool-Aid crowd wants S&P at 4,000. Jerome Powell wants it at 2,600. Now, let me ask you a question. What do you think is going to happen if the July CPI number, which comes out, I don't know, around the 10th, what is going to happen if the payroll number for July, followed by a holiday, followed by the inflation number, followed by what are probably going to be really crappy earnings? What happens if this fantasy about the Fed not tightening in September turns out to be not true? Like, do you think the Federal Reserve is going to let inflation run rampant just because they want the stock market to go up? Or the stock market thinks the Fed should service them? Well, that sure is an interesting theory. And I'm reading all kinds of stuff. Like I just read an article by Arthur Hayes, and everybody keeps talking about the Fed pivot. What's the Fed pivot? Well, that's the point where the Fed goes, oh, goodness, we raised rates to 3% and consumer sentiment went down. Oh my God, silly us. We have to stop tightening now. We have to start tightening right now because we don't want anybody to be upset. I'm like, oh. Dude, the Fed will say that when S&P goes down 50%. Then they'll go, okay, we did our job. Now we can pivot. Everyone's talking about the pivot. No one's talking about the crash that creates the pivot. So if you got 8.5 or 8 or 9% inflation in July, this whole Fed pivot story is going to fall apart for the second time. Now, I've been talking about the teacup and handle in the fear measure in equities, VIX. So when you have a teacup, you have this rounded bottom, and when you have a handle, you have this unbelievably choppy mess that's impossible to trade. So this chart hints fear could go up, and that makes sense, right? Because this Kool-Aid that everyone is drinking, that, you know, the Fed's just going to let inflation be at 8 or 7 and rates at 3 and be like, hey, just kidding on this tightening cycle, doesn't seem logical to me. So go back to crypto, all right? If fear in equities can rise because of this formation, FTX, aka the crypto Fed, but not the Fed. So actually, that's kind of funny. So we're going to call FTX the Fed, not the Fed in crypto. They got how many days to get out of their risk? They got how many days to get a pump started so that retail can come in, cover shorts, FOMO in, and help take some of the risk that they're trying to get rid of, particularly in ETH. Because staked ETH and ETH is where the insolvency pain point is, to keep it brief. So this is the countdown, right? FTX is trying to get a pump going to get you to sucker in and buy ETH at whatever price so it can get out before this takes effect. Okay? So yes, I want to respect that the market could go higher, but I also want you to understand that if this thing about the Fed turns out to be wrong again, that this market could go down and green candles can be the opportunity to protect yourself. Because Jerome Powell is not fooling around. So here's my final word on the Fed. Jerome Powell talked about how much he admired Paul Volcker. And I talked about this the last time crypto fell out of bed. Paul Volcker raised rates to 20% to stop inflation. So if anybody thinks that Jerome Powell is going to stop at 2 or 3% when inflation is at 8%, is out of their mind, right? Jerome Powell might stop at 4% if inflation is at 5%, okay? So again, could Bitcoin go to 24K? Possibly. Could ETH go to 1,500? Maybe. Why would ETH go to 1,500? Because FTX is pumping it there. They are trying to get the shorts out, and it's working so far. So God bless them. But what happens when the music stops, and where are you going to be July 4th? So this is like a Friday edition of the market update. You got 2 or 3 days to absorb what I'm telling you, even if the market's going up. Now, God forbid if this market turns around and goes down, right? God forbid if everybody's looking at the head and shoulders bottom in ETH and going, yay, bear market rally. And then, okay, I don't have to tell you how bad that is, right? Because again, in bear markets, when are you supposed to sell it? When it looks the best. But if they do pull this rally off, again, can you imagine what everyone's going to be saying at 1,500, right? Bitcoin Magazine will be like, the bottom is in, you know, it's over. The Fed's going to pivot. The previous cycle high held. Again, there is an argument, and they're going to make it. And if they take it up, it's going to look amazing. It always does, right? It always does when they take it up. It always looks amazing at a top, all right? So again, I'm looking 3 or 4 days into the future as to what this market can look like, right? In the meantime, right, our friends at FTX, right, are trying to take us into the pump zone. So let's bring up, you know, the market update within the market update and just check out what's going on. So this is ETH on a 4-hour chart. Again, you know, we're looking at this 9 top. We have this big moving average resistance here. And, you know, the question is, can they punch through, right? Same thing with Bitcoin, right? So here's the 13 top. Okay, there's a lot of wicks. So people know about the resistance at 21,800, right? Probably because I told them about it, or they've got their own charts. Okay, the point is this going to be a top, or will the FTX guys be able to pump ETH right through? Okay, the other thing about ETH that you need to remember, okay, and I didn't think this was going to happen. This is where I kind of effed up yesterday. I mean, this in ETH on the 4-hour is A, B, C. Remember how I told you those, when something corrects and it goes A, B, C, that those C legs, man, they can be kind of a pain in the what, right? They can be a pain in the butt. So how far can this C leg go? I don't know. Probably should stop at 1220 and turn around and go below 1150 again if the market's no good. But if the market doesn't do that, and these FTX guys or whoever took down all this ETH risk can pump the market, they're going to pump the market. And that's exactly what I would do. I'd be like, oh my God, we got all this risk. We got to get a rally going, right? I mean, if we just took down the entire crypto system, meaning we just took on all the negative risk in crypto, who cares if we buy, $100 million worth of ETH? If we got the capital, who cares if we got to buy, I don't know, $500 million worth of ETH? I don't know, make up a number, right? However much money you got, if you're betting your whole company on saving the crypto ecosystem, ramp the market. Just ramp it. Well, that's what the Fed does. So if FTX is the crypto Fed, we're going to find out. Can they ramp Ethereum? All right. So Richard Berry says, bro, what the hell is up with this bull market, right? What's going on here? Okay. Boris says, I finally ran out of red shirts. Yes, I opted for something a little different today. Okay. Checking where the market is. Bitcoin is still down, right? Equity market futures, they can't stop loving it. Okay. I'm showing resistance at 39.11. Okay. Let's go to the 89-minute chart. Okay. So I think a lot of what's going on in crypto is being driven by this Kool-Aid in equities. So if equities stop at 39.11, that's a reason for pause in crypto. Okay. If equities take out 39.11, I don't know. I guess they're going to ramp it right into the employment report, betting that those numbers are going to be weaker. Again, I don't see how this turns out well in equities. You're going to have lower earnings, and the Fed is going to stay the course on higher rates until equities go down. The Fed pivot occurs when risk assets go down. Now, why am I saying that for the 5th time? Well, because again, what's going to happen to crypto if there's a blow up in legacy? Yesterday, we talked about a possible black swan in European energy companies. Now, people, I'm not saying this because I want to be FUD master. I'm saying this because, again, the time to protect yourself is still here, right? Right? Okay, so somebody wants me to rinse and repeat all 8 red shirts. I got it. Okay, Pat is asking, Bill, do you think Celsius is going to get liquidated? Yes. Short answer, yes. Right? I mean, downside targets in Bitcoin can be as deep as 7K or 6K. Why? Because that's the cost of production we suspect for miners. Now, when does that happen? Does it happen after July 4th? Does it happen in Rectember? I don't know yet. I know that's an unusual answer for the market update, but I do think these guys are going to get liquidated because like in 2008, some were rescued by banks, some were rescued by the Fed, but that didn't change the problem of toxic assets in the system. Over leverage, men behaving badly, and bad positions. Bad positions are going to get unwound. And if FTX is the buyer of last resort and they can't hold up the market, then who is going to hold up the market? The answer is nobody. Okay. That's why if there's some Kool-Aid rally higher, you need to remember what I'm telling you is driving the Kool-Aid rally, particularly in equities. So if there's a party into July 4th, please enjoy, right? But as soon as the music stops, okay, all a rally is going to do is enhance the brutality of the ensuing decline, right? So they're making their life worse because, again, if you're paying $1,300 for ETH on Sunday, okay, you're paying $1,300 and it could go higher, but who's selling it to you, right? Probably FTX, right? In other words, when you're buying ETH on the way up, if it goes up, right, who's selling it to you? The sharks, right? The smart money who knows, oh yeah, here comes retail. Boom, 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 boom. Come and get it. That's probably why Bitcoin is not up, because they're trying to ramp ETH. Okay, JC wants to know, what do you mean by men behaving badly? These guys are saints. Remember, they want to help us. Okay, this is true. So let's clarify who's a saint and who's a sinner. Okay, the guys at FTX, right, they're trying to help the crypto ecosystem. Remember, I work for a crypto company, okay? If FTX saved the crypto ecosystem, nobody would be happier than me. Now, the men behaving badly, right, these are people like the Celsius, the 3ACs, right? All of these centralized lending bodies that thought they had enough collateral and didn't. They were over-leveraged. They were taking way too much risk. It's as simple as that. That's what I call men behaving badly. People who took too much risk, and FTX is trying to help the system. I get it. That's very noble of them to do that, right? Now, if that works, great. If it doesn't work, well, then we have to ask ourselves what can happen, right? The thing about crypto is it's a free market. Freedom is a good thing, but freedom is not free. You ever heard anybody say that in the military? Freedom is not free. Now, normally that's used to, justify military intervention and to have good guys fight bad guys, or perceived good guys to fight perceived bad guys, however you want to say it. But when you're in a free market, there's no central bank. There's no propping up the market. There's no bailouts. Now, FTX is trying to help, so they're the good guys. But if it doesn't work, it's a free market. And remember when I said yesterday, we're so early. You know how people say that on the way up? Oh, we're so early. Wait till people adopt Bitcoin and it goes to 250K. Okay, that's possible. That's possible. But we are so early works the other way. Meaning, okay, all these people who tried to innovate, all these people who thought making crypto banks and CeFi was going to work, yeah, not really. Right? We are so early means that you can have what they call creative destruction. What's creative destruction? Well, that's when ideas are put forward, implemented in the market, and Mr. Market goes, nah, I don't think so. Gone. And then the next thing that comes in, the next thing that gets created after the destruction is something better, stronger, and longer lasting, which we covered yesterday. Even the Bank of England is saying, wow, when they get done giving this crypto market an enema, whatever entities are left, man, that's the strong. The strong will survive. So yeah, if you have crypto and you've gotten wrecked, you're not seeing the bright side of this, which is why if there's a bear market rally, right, while it's a weekend or headed into next week, that you're like, okay, wow, ETH is at 1,400. See ya. I'm out. Right? I mean, there's been big rallies in things like MATIC. Now, somebody's asking me, more pain in September, possibly, particularly in equities. Like I said, I don't know how there isn't going to be a Rectember in equities. There may be a huge flush in July and they may try another bounce. God, I don't know how Rectember gets avoided, but we'll see. Okay. Bank of England or the District of City of London. We don't know. Okay. And then Steven says, if Bitcoin is at 3K, you won't want it. Okay. Very interesting point. Okay. In other words, if the crypto ecosystem gets liquidated, people are like, ooh, I'll be able to buy stuff. That'll be great. Okay. First of all, you have to have capital, which is why if there is a bear market rally, I want you to use it to get out. Simple as that. Okay. You got to have capital. The other point, which is interesting, is, there's a lot of on-chain data. I brought it up on the show. There's a lot of people writing about on-chain data. There's a lot of people in the Wall Street Journal writing, it's too early to say Bitcoin is dead. Now, yes, Bitcoin is dead. Google searches hit an all-time high, but I'm not sensing the type of revulsion that we had in 2018, honestly. Like in 2018, when Bitcoin was at 3K, I was working at a crypto company, and it felt like the end of the world. I spoke at a crypto conference when Bitcoin was at 6K. I was like, don't despair. Crypto will endure. I got off the plane back home, and crypto was 25% lower from where I said that. And then it went to 3K, and you're seeing pictures of miners putting hardware out on the curb for the garbage man. They couldn't even sell the hardware because Bitcoin had fallen below the cost of production. That's what the last bottom I saw looked like. This feels a little bit too cheerful. Now, again, folks, I work for a crypto company. Do you have any idea how much I want to wake up in the morning and have a green shirt and like a giant rocket ship thumbnail for the show and be like, oh my God, this is going up. Let's go to Token Metrics and check out all the bullish stuff. Of course I do. Speaking of that, let's go to Token Metrics, right? And let's check out some bullish stuff, right? Let's check it out. Okay, so this is something that we share with our customers that I occasionally share online, right? We look for certain coins that the Token Metrics grade is, it's rising, right? So I think one of the coins that my guy identified was Jupiter. Okay, this was a couple of days ago. Now let's go to tokenmetrics.com, right? And say, hey, what's Jupiter doing? Oh, gee, it's up 52%, right? So inside the market, right, there is a market of altcoins, right? So instead of the crypto market, I would call it a market of cryptos, okay? Where, when you get these breaks in a bear market, you can get these small altcoins like, there's the green buy signal from our AI in Jupiter. Okay. So again, folks, this is for the customers, right? If you want to find low cap gems, you got to come sign up with Token Metrics. Okay. Let's just take a look at the trading view chart of Jupiter. Okay. So yeah, coming off today, but low cap spikes are out there even in a down market. Okay, now here's ETH. All right, now we're watching to see if, I don't know, if a rally can create a bullish signal. So far, it hasn't, right? And just as a reminder, there's multiple ways to use Token Metrics, right? I've been talking about an Ethereum target at 300 something. Why? Because that's where the first buy signal was in October of 2020. So there are small coins that are doing well, like Jupiter. And then there are ways where, if you want to look for small coins during breaks in the bear market, I know the guys at Token Metrics Ventures, right? They found Store J using the website, right? Store J had the Token Metrics grade rocket from 35. No, 15 actually. The grade went from 15 to 80, 82 in like 5 days. So what happens when you get a smoke and move in the grade? Look at this price action. Look at the green volume on this, right? So, if there's a bear market rally, to me, what makes sense is value investing, believe it or not, in small coins. Because when this is over, right, the market will pick out what will survive. So what's a better buy, right? A small cap that you got from a token metrics index that you can do you can do a fast trade on. And again, this is for customers, right? We want our customers to look inside of the portfolios, right, known as our indices. So, we have this stuff where, every day on Kraken, for example, it's done by exchange. They give you the top coins of the day. Solana is in there because Solana's been doing well, and it's mainly momentum focused. But like I said, sometimes you find yourself a store J, right? And up it goes. So, if you're like, gee, how do I make money and not get smoked, right? Like when the market stops going down, where do I go for information? All right. So enough said, right? Okay. Somebody says, I can't wait for Celsius to die. Okay. All right. Can TM customers get the spreadsheet in an email? We're working on that. We're working on it. Okay. Back to the spreadsheet. I did want to share one more thing. Okay. So on the spreadsheet, okay, we're basically looking at things, just so you know, and we do this on the show. It's kind of like altcoin overtime. We haven't done it in a while, but things like Monero on Kraken, Decentraland is popping up. The Decentraland grade went from 22 to 37. So we're actually trying to catch some of this stuff on the way up. And a lot of what's been showing up in here the last couple of days, okay, has been metaverse and NFTs. I think the world of NFTs, support is at zero, folks. Now, metaverse, that's another story if there's a big down leg, right? So, I don't know if I would FOMO into metaverse, but, it's hard not to say that Decentraland looks kind of destroyed. I think where you get excited about Decentraland is if there was a buy signal on our visual trends indicator. So I know y'all love altcoin overtime, right? And this is your altcoin overtime. Now, if Decentraland continues to go down, the original buy signal was at 79 cents. So this can give you upside targets. It can give you breakouts, right? Decentraland currently at 91 cents, okay? Not that far away from its original buy target in 2021. So if you were looking to develop a portfolio or you were looking at coins that are like, all right, if the market goes up for 2 weeks, how can I make a ton of money, right? Like FTX is trying to pump ETH and dump it on you, but that doesn't mean Store J, Decentraland, and other altcoins can't outperform for a week or two. So we share this with customers in our premium webinar, right? And I'm sharing it with you today, okay? Because we break this down by Kraken tokens, Gate.io tokens, right? And then, of course, the other interesting thing is just because of how oversold things are, there were no coins on these exchanges that had their token metrics grades fall. It's because the whole market is rallying, but it is interesting that, these grades are starting to normalize. All right. So again, I believe that when the market stops going down, right, or the market is in full reverse mode, like I said, I may have to go get a green shirt over July 4th, just in case I'm wrong about what can happen around that period of time. Nobody would like a bottom better than me. Nobody. But, you know, hope is not a tactic, right? You can get a market rally, but the question is, should you FOMO into that in the big coins, or are you better off trying to find small stuff on token metrics that you can trade for anywhere from 3 to 10 days? Okay. All right. So, Bill, an interesting thing to keep in mind as political campaigns are going to focus on inflation. Inflation expectations will probably go up, causing the Fed to react stronger. Okay. Good point. Okay. Inflation expectations have been coming down a little bit, but I can tell you this about politics. If the Federal Reserve does not do something about inflation before the November election, the Democratic Party is going to get taken out to the woodshed at the polls. Now, that may happen anyway, but the Fed has got to stop inflation now. That's why this whole idea of a September pause is so bass-ackwards. I think they're going to be coming down harder on it in September to show the Biden administration is working hard to stop inflation, right? All right. Let's see what else we got. Okay. I know somebody wanted Yearn Finance in the beginning. So let's make sure I get on top of that. Okay. So again, massive pump going on in DeFi. Interesting, right? Okay, so where can Yearn Finance go? It's a good question. I'm not
You're
sharing
not sharing
the
the
screen.
screen.
All right. So we have like a mini God candle going on in Yearn. I think I'm going to have to bring this up over here on DeMark. I guess the moral of the story in CFI and DeFi is that somebody's going to win in there somewhere. And the argument for a bottom, right, may be compelling in the sense that you know, if DeFi and other things are just completely washed out, right? Like I said, I'm having a really hard time even like sorting this out. This rally is so huge, right? Okay. So, couple of points here. You know, this is the power of bear market rallies. When you get people giving up, getting short, etc., this is what can happen. Now, if I look at this from an Elliott wave point of view, right? So this 3 and 0, that either means this was the end, or this was the end of the 3 wave, and this is the 4 wave up, which means this thing could make a new low. Now, I don't know that I want to go calling for that, but it seems like the market wasn't interested in going past 2,400, which was where that whole give up trade started from. Let me see if I can draw that line. Nope, not letting me. Okay, so obviously an impressive spike. If you were doing value investing, again, this was so destroyed. There was a DeMark point down here at 545, all right, and then it just exploded. Should you buy the dip in this? Truthfully, I don't know, okay? I'm not a big fan of FOMOing in to bear market rallies. If the market is bottomed, you'll know. Seriously, you'll know, right? ETH will take off. It'll go past 1,500. You know, Bitcoin will go past 2,600. You get on token metrics, you get an index, you get the indices going, and off you go. But this kind of price action to me looks like bear market rally. Now let's try to drive that home, right? So, you know, Yearn throughout its history, okay, let's see if I can get this up in more detail. Okay, so obviously Yearn, when it moves, it can move. This candle doesn't even look like anything. If you look at the whole history of Yearn, it basically went right back to where it started from and started over. So that is a compelling idea, right? That's why people probably want it. It's a DeMark 9 bottom, you know, and that spike up doesn't look like anything if you look at the overall history. Okay. All right. But when you have 9 bottoms, sometimes you can have powerful counter trend rallies, right? Which is what you've got here. So this is a nice way of saying two things. I don't know if this is a bottom in Yearn, right? What I do know is that FTX wants certain altcoins like ETH higher. And if people gave up on DeFi because of what was going on in CeFi, that's probably not the right trade. The DeFi protocols are going to survive. What's not going to survive, or what may be a problem, is the ETH-based collateral in the DeFi universe. But right now, I mean, ETH was up 5%, and then it went down to, I don't know, 1,200, and now it's up again. Like, they're ramping this thing. And I don't want to get in the way of a big over-the-counter trading desk that can move the market, especially if people got short against 1150 and don't want to cover. Shorts can be greedy too. So yeah, I thought this thing was going to give out, but the market is doing something different. So I want you to protect yourself. I don't want you to be short if ETH's going to 1500. And I definitely don't want you FOMOing in if ETH's going to go higher, right? Don't FOMO in at the top. Remember, you want to be out of this market by July 4th, regardless of what they do this weekend. Okay. So with that, I'm going to wrap it out there. Just got here what happened to Harmony. So we covered that there was a Harmony hack. I don't exactly know the details. People are asking for support and resistance in MATIC. You know, which had a very powerful rally. Okay, so MATIC has got resistance at 66 cents. So total give up trade with the 13 and the 9 bottom. And the question is, does it have the gas to get through 66 cents? Okay, if it does, then, you know, maybe we got to just turn the whole ship around. Again, there's a 13 and a 9 top with a lot of resistance at 64. So really what MATIC has done is it's kind of unwound the give up trade and done a reset. Now, if it blows through 66 cents, you got a bottom. You got a bottom, but you got a bottom for 10 days. Okay, COTI, very similar situation, right? Powerful rally off the low. I'm showing resistance at 0.104. So there's topping signals. The market is pausing, but it's not backing off. So, you know, this price action that we saw on the downside is now appearing on the upside. So, you know, FTX is out there and they want the market up. They want it. They got to have it up. Whoever is bailing out the ecosystem. Okay. Whoever is bailing out the ecosystem. And yes, remember, in bear markets, you got to sell it when it looks the best. Okay. You may have to give it a little room, but headed into July 4th, don't be FOMOing into this thing on the 30th of June. Don't do it. I know it's going to be tempting. You want to trade altcoins in the meantime? Tokenmetrics.com. Looking for changes in the TM grade, looking at what shows up in the indexes. All right, folks, that's it for today. I'm your host, Bill Noble. I will see you on Monday.